Hey, welcome everybody to Tech Tuesday. This is Digital Ministry Support Network, where we hope that everything we give you, this content that we prepared, is going to be helping you in your ministry grow in a plethora of ways. We know that we're coming through a time where the season is changing and we're starting to open up again, but there is no time like the present where you still need to know your tech. It's going to make you a better minister, a better communicator, and a better storyteller of the gospel. So we hope that you're with us. Buckle in, get ready to go. Now, we're doing something different today. We are pre-recording. Lauren here and I are doing this a little bit ahead of time. We've scheduled it out. We're posting it so that you can get it. But you can still ask questions. If something that you see here is like, whoa, I need to know more about that, drop it in the comments. If you drop it in the comments, we'll see it and we'll make sure that we reply to each of you. All right? Well, happy Tuesday, everybody. And today I'm hanging out with Lauren to finish our part 2 that we started from last week on preparation for your production.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to it. I mean, last week, as you guys can already see, there is so much in this topic to share with you. This is a super important topic, super packed with very helpful information for you, super relevant stuff that we just couldn't fit it in 1 week. So we're super excited to be back.
Yeah. Hey, El, why don't we just go ahead and break on into there?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you guys recall, last week we talked about some of the software digital parts of your programming, talking about where you're going to stream to, thinking about that platform and who your audience is going to be. And then we talked a little bit about some of the hardware and equipment, right? We talked about what kind of cameras you might want to look at, what kind of lighting you might want to consider, and some of those different things about your location.
What kind of people you might... El, and share what cameras we're using and lights we're using right now? Hardware?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. So just like last week, I have a similar setup. I've got my Canon T7i DSLR camera running straight with a cable into my computer. In terms of microphone, I've got my Zoom H5 here, just running straight into this. I don't have another mic plugged into it. And then for lighting, the room that I have has a really great window right next to where I'm standing that I usually use in the daytime, which I was using last week. But right now, the lights behind me and the lamp in my room actually reflect pretty well to where I'm standing. So I don't have any other professional external lights, but the floor lamp in the room seems to work. So I'm not super high tech in that area, but use what you've got, right?
Use what you got. That's right. I'm actually shooting on a Mevo Start right now. I just picked up one last week for a wedding that my wife and I had to go to. So I'm using the Mevo through an NDI, which means it's wireless, connected to my computer. And I'm at home. This is a scene you guys don't usually see because I'm not usually shooting from here. I'm in my kitchen. I'm using a ring light. If you can see, the ring light is kind of a harsher light. It's really strong. And usually I would drop a pillowcase over it so that it softens the light and it softens your features. But since today I was kind of like in a bit of a rush, I didn't have the pillowcase on me, and this is the light I have. So you use what you got and you make the best of it. For my sound, I am using a lapel mic. It's a lapel mic that goes straight into your USB-C. For me, it's for my Mac. So I have a USB-C and it goes right into my lapel just under the scene right here, and so that you don't really see it because it's a little bit tacky to have your mic out there sometimes, especially if you're preaching style. So I have it just below the scene there, and it works beautifully.
Awesome. Super cool. What we've got, right? I love that what we can share during this type of topic is how many different things work. Sometimes we think, if I don't have this really high-end camera or the best microphone on the market or some of these really cool professional lights, then my production is automatically going to be subpar, which is definitely not the case. So we really want to encourage you to teach you how to use what you have and make the best of it, because you can still do a really great production that way.
Yeah. It helps if you have something like, for instance, we use Ecamm, both Lauren and I, and quite a few people on our team do use Ecamm. It helps to have that because we had to do a little bit of color correction, which you can actually do in this particular platform. Some other platforms may not. But you've got to find a way to make sure that your coloring is pretty good, and we were able to do that in here. And of course, we've got our headsets in as well. Those are, $10. You can get a pair of these. You're good to go.
Yeah,
all right.
absolutely.
Well, let's get to it. Lauren. Where are we at?
Awesome. So after we talked about all of that last week, we landed right on the topic of testing and doing a dry run. So this
Oh,
is an area
yes.
where we're going to park and spend a few minutes. And then we're going to talk a little bit about connection today and what
Hmm.
to do when you're actually in your live stream event. So that's where we're going to go. But before we do that, Icky, let's talk a little bit about testing and dry runs.
Yes, let's do
How
that. This
important
is
is this
important.
part of the topic?
Oh my, I cannot emphasize enough how important it is to do dry runs and testing. Please don't skip this. I know that you're gonna be in a rush and there's some things you're gonna forget and you need to do this and that. But if this is not a regular event, even if it is a regular event, you want to have to get used to your rhythm. So do little dry test runs for you. But if this is a single event, dry run, test run, dry run, test run, do it. Do it.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like for myself, in my own experience, one thing that can perhaps prevent us from feeling like we need to do a dry run or going through some testing is when we're preparing, when we're putting everything together, it looks fine. It looks like everything's in
Hmm.
line. We think everything is gonna go really well based on what we see at the moment during our preparation. So it might seem like, well, I don't have a lot of time. I could squeeze a dry run in, but everything looks okay, so I don't need to, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
But why may that not be the case, Icky? Why is actually just doing the event not always going to reflect what your preparation looks like?
Because things conceptually are always good conceptually. Theoretical is very different from practice. So the minute you push go and everything's running, there always seems to be something that will go wrong or something that
Yeah.
you've missed. So the dry run helps you mitigate that by you going through it and actually tangibly doing it, then saying, oh no, we need to do this. And then you can fix that there so that you don't have to bumble around with it during the actual live stream.
Yeah, definitely. And I think in addition to that conceptual way of things always working out when it's in that stage, I feel like sometimes we have additional factors that don't show up during testing as well.
Yes.
So, I mean, you might think I've laid everything out and this is the exact way things are going to go when we're actually in the event. But one of the more problematic experiences that I had when it comes to this was I almost felt this eerie sense of, wow, things are going almost too well during the planning, right? I was like, I feel like, wow, everything is in line. I have extra time. Wow, this is great. And then the minute I hit play, everything got messed up. And there were just all of these problems that I had not seen in the planning. It looked like everything was in line with time to spare. And so there are factors that conceptually they're just not there in the
Yes.
beginning stage. You need to uncover them during a test.
Remember that once you go live with your stream, the weight on your computer changes. So
Yes.
if you don't do that at least once prior to, you're not going to know how much of that weight or that bench is being held by your computer and how much it can't take. So you may have lined everything up perfectly before. You're like, this is great. The minute you hit live stream and there's an extra bolt of weight being distributed to your computer, the CPU may not be able to handle that. The GPU may not be able to handle that. Your internet connection may not be able to handle all of that. If you're not plugged in, wired in, hardwired for either the internet or your power cable, your
Yeah.
computer may not, the energy being sucked out may not be able to deal with that. So it's super important for you to actually do a dry run where you're going for it. Lauren, I've had two events this past few months. As an example, one of them, it was difficult. It was churches and individuals from around North America to get them all together, but we knew it was important. So they got it all together. We did a dry run Friday. We had we went through like, okay, who's doing this? You got this. Have you sent that? Okay. And then I literally walked them through each scene so that they could see it. The next day when we started and went to go, it was right on point. Everything was the way it should have been. It turned out just right, just as we had expected it.
Mm.
The second event was something that happened not too long ago. It was an event for our conference, mainly for the ministers. You all were probably pretty there. There wasn't enough individuals who showed up to the time when things were supposed to be done and, pre-prep. And I know everyone's got a lot of stuff to do. So they're like, well, this will just work out.
But
And
we'll be
lo and
there when it
behold,
matters.
yeah, when we actually started conference, things just didn't go right because people didn't come to prep and, so all of that really matters. Please don't skip that. Do the dry runs, test it, make sure everything is going the way it should go.
Yeah. And I feel like live streaming sometimes can be stressful enough. Even if you're
Yeah.
pretty experienced at it, there's a lot of things going on, right? A lot to juggle in that one
Hmm.
moment. And nobody likes to feel that things are going too out of control, right? Nobody likes to
Yeah.
feel that. We have enough stress in that moment. So it's really a favor to yourself to go through that testing stage. Maybe
Yes.
we can talk a little bit about what that actually looks like because people might
Sure.
think, well, I want to test, and I think that's great advice. I would love to take it. I don't, well, people are going to see me on my page if I test.
Mm.
So that's actually using the internet and going on my page. So how do I actually go about doing a dry run or a test? What does that
Yes.
look like?
Well, okay, first of all, I'd like to say, just like Lauren said, be kind to yourself and do the test runs. This is for your benefit. You're going to be feeling better about it during the event. Now, when we want to do a test run, there's a few ways you can do it. You can actually start a live stream and make it private or unlisted. That way it won't show up anywhere and you won't have to worry about it. Or you could just go live onto your page, which I've always felt a little bit awkward about, Lauren. But the honest truth is, you can use those live stream tests as advertisement and as a way to promote whatever you're doing. So sometimes I'll come on and like,
Yeah.
hey guys, I'm just live streaming. I'm testing our stream. Drop a comment, say what's up. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear my voice. We want to make sure everything's running smooth for the dot dot dot. And then you can start filling them in. So you're talking and you're trying to engage with them, promoting your event while you're actually testing your stream.
Two birds with one stone. I love
Yeah,
it.
that's it.
Yeah, and then people, I feel like, because I've seen stream or test streams like that, and I feel like people get a sense that you really care. Like, wow, they're
Yeah,
putting this much effort to make the event that great. Wow, what date is that again? Maybe I should make time for that. Yeah,
exactly.
absolutely, absolutely. So definitely, if there's anything we can say, make time for a test. Make
Take
time to do a
time.
dry run.
That if you could walk away with one thing today and from last week, for me, from my vantage point, it is this: don't underestimate how much time it takes to prep for a production. If you think I got this, it'll take me 20 minutes. Take go twice as long. Think
At
that
least,
out
yeah.
because there are things that need to be set. Tech issues are going to be problematic. I had a wedding this weekend that I was live streaming, and so we created a schedule out for it for the event. We did an RTMP, so we were able to get the stream code, stream URL, and all of that fell apart before we could actually start the stream. And then the cameras, because I was going wireless completely because of the wedding, the size of the space, they were having a difficult time connecting to my hotspot because hotspots aren't strong enough. So there was a ton of stuff that I had to get done prior to the actual event. Had we not been there as early as we could, it would not have worked out.
Yeah.
Time. Time is your friend. Make time.
Time is your friend.
Make
Make
time.
time.
Yes.
I can definitely echo that. And one thing that now, one thing that I have found almost as a cardinal rule of live streaming, I want to classify this, but I feel like almost as the cardinal rule of live streaming, something will go wrong during the live that did not go wrong during your preparation. Like that's what I've
Right.
noticed. So the reason I want to classify that is because it's not a negative thing meant to make you feel discouraged that something's always going to go wrong. But go through these tests. It's meant to encourage you to go through these tests, do a dry run, because then you'll uncover those things. So when you're going live for real, you'll be able to know those things and say, okay, this went wrong during the test, so I'm aware of it. So if this happens, I can juggle that item as well. If this happens during the live, so being prepared
So
is
true.
always going to help you. Even if something happens, if you're prepared, you can roll with it a lot better.
Oh yeah. No one's ever complained about being over prepared. Let's just put it that
No,
way. You've never felt bad about being over prepared, Pastor. That never feels bad. But you
Yeah.
know, it
Oh, I
does feel
wish I had
bad
come 2 hours
being
later.
underprepared. Yeah.
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 Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely. People won't say, I wish I would have just done something else this morning. They'll say, I wish I would have come
Yeah.
here an hour earlier or
Yeah. No
something,
one
you
ever
know?
says, man, I wish I didn't prepare as much.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. There's nothing really bad that can come from it. And yeah,
Yeah.
like Iki was saying earlier, I really appreciate that point that if you do a test and you feel kind of awkward, use that as an opportunity to promote your event and just say, hey guys, this is what we're doing. If you choose not to go unlisted or private with the stream.
Hmm.
Um, and then if everything goes well, you'll feel that much more relieved that you're prepared for your live. So,
Yeah.
and people will be aware of it. They'll be aware of how much you're looking forward to making a great event for them and preparing. So there's really nothing that can go wrong. I feel that you'll wish you hadn't done it or wish you used the time for something else.
Yeah. I will give this caveat. You don't have to live stream a walk through the whole event.
That's true. That's a
You
good
do
point.
want to test your live stream and make sure everything's working right. But it doesn't have to be the actual program you're going to do the next day, right?
Yeah.
You can work all of that out, dry run right in your scenes, making sure everything runs smoothly. Work it with your group, your partners, make sure they're all in there watching along and checking it out and seeing that things are lined up correctly. Then you can pop on a live stream together to make sure that your signal and your strength is good and everything is lined up the way it's supposed to line up. And that way you get both of those tests in.
Yeah, it's just enough to get the answer, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
to is everything working correctly? Just enough to get that answer. Because like Iki was saying, once you see it, um, does this scene look how I wanted it to? And sometimes, a lot of times, things look different on camera than they look in
Yeah.
real life, right? People look different, places look different. So once you see that, okay, the way that I've set up this scene, the way that this works, and then the software is going through the scenes correctly, once you get all of that, you can feel confident.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Very good.
Okay, so I think it's a good time, Icky, to move on to our next topic, one of our last topics. So we're going to talk a little bit about what to do during the stream. So you've done all of that, right? You've done your
Yes.
preparation, figured out where you're going to stream, figured out who's going to help you run the stream, what equipment you might need, all that good stuff. You've gone through a dry run, you feel confident. Now it's the day of your event, right? Well, hopefully some of what we're going to talk about applies to before that, but it's the day of your event. You're about to go live. You've got your audience on the other end, right? And they're watching your event. So, just a couple tips we want to give you to help the audience on the other end of your stream have the best experience with you that day. So, another element of preparation prior to your event is who's going to be interacting with your viewers online. That's something that sometimes we don't think about or we perhaps miss when we're not doing in person events, right? We think, well,
Yeah.
people are just out there somewhere. They're watching this and we hope they like it. But but there's definitely a way to have some more of that relationship building during a stream as
Yes.
well.
Absolutely.
So a couple things that we want to mention just to keep you aware of that, and maybe we can give some examples too of how we've done this, is when you're able to have your event, make sure that you have people in place who can interact with your viewers. Make sure you have people in place who can engage with your live stream, perhaps respond to questions, share comments, and really engage just so that people on the other end know that you know that they're there, you care that
Yes.
they're there. And if they have any questions, you're more than willing to answer. You're not just an impersonal organization or church or person, pastor on the other side of the screen. That you care about them, you're willing to work with them and get to know them a little bit more, even though they're not in the physical space with you.
Right.
So, for some events that we've done in the past, I know Icky and I both have experience with this. Um, a couple things that you can do is, as a pastor in a church, one thing that I like to recommend is to find a few people who are really passionate about this, people who
Hmm.
really are interested in digital ministry, who want to help in some way. Perhaps they don't know how to run a camera, or perhaps they don't want to be responsible for doing the camera or the lighting, or there's some
Hmm.
reasons, but you can have a small team and say, okay, guys, this is what I need you to do, and this is a way that you can help build the kingdom, help the message get out there farther, and help people who engage with us to know that they matter to us. So you can help
Yes.
people to be involved in ministry that way. This isn't just, well, we got to get more volunteers, but um, that's definitely a part of it. But you can help to harness that passion that people have for this area of ministry. It's as simple as, hey, when we have our event, log on at the time of the event. Make some comments. If you see other people commenting, respond to their comments. Make sure to like the post. Make sure to help it gain traction in that way, because that matters as well. So those are just a couple simple things that people can do. But be sure to take some of that passion that people have and harness it in that way, because sometimes social media might not seem like it's a way that people can really get involved or do ministry. Looks like we lost you there for a sec, Ick, but I'm glad that you're back.
I'm back.
I'm glad that you're back. So, yeah, basically just remember that even though it might not seem like it, or it's not maybe what we've traditionally been taught, people being able to log on and make comments and respond on social media is definitely a really important aspect of ministry, especially these days.
Yeah, I want to give a couple of my 2 cents here as well.
Sure.
Piggybacking on what Lauren said, have your teammates do stuff. I know that Pastor Tim at North Hills has elders and deacons who do the welcome. So they
Yeah.
literally are there, checked in when somebody jumps on to the stream to watch it on Facebook. They immediately say, "Hey, welcome on. Dot dot dot. Good to see you here. Good morning. Happy Sabbath." Anytime somebody gets a bit of engagement from their social media, it helps them to stay on that much longer on there. So you can
Yeah.
do that. Another part is teach someone how to do cross posting. I know we'd mentioned that last week, but cross posting is when you have a stream on your Facebook page and then you're able to connect with another Facebook page to stream that exact same stream. So it's literally just chaining your stream out to other pages. Well, make sure somebody can do that for you. A couple weeks ago when we were doing our mental health week of prayer, Pastor E-Man was doing it for me. Part of the time during the week, he would jump on and he would cross post when I began, because there were so many things I had to do. It was easy for me to forget to do that part. Now, something that you can do while you're presenting is engage. In fact, right now, why don't you go ahead and just drop into our comments here and tell us what's some things that you do to engage? What are some of your ideas? Go ahead, do it now. See, that part right there, that's what we're supposed to do. And we're not even live, so we can't see your comment, though we will, and we will reply. That's what you have to do. Remember, engaging your audience is something that we're not used to doing in real life because we don't have to do that. Here in social media, it's so important. Ask questions, ask them to comment, tell them to drop in their ideas, because oftentimes people don't come on to just take content. They want to be able to engage and give their ideas too. So you want to do that. That's very helpful. It keeps things moving along, and it's just a great way to engage with people. So prepping all that and thinking about that beforehand is important. Don't leave it to just, oh, I'll figure it out when we go. That's not how it works. You got to think
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And one thing I do want to add to that, Icky, that you brought to my mind was the first step, of course, is making sure that you get online, right? The first step is making sure you've got a camera set up, you find somewhere to stream, set up a Facebook page, some of that basic stuff that we talked about earlier. Of course,
Mm-hmm.
that's the first step. We want to help you get there. Once you're there, something to continue to think about is that when you're maybe live streaming your Sabbath morning service, right? You're giving your sermon through Facebook, through YouTube. You know that people are able to see it. You're able to reach more people online, and that's a good step. But I think one thing to think about is sort of a mindset shift that we don't always think about, is that when you're giving a sermon online, it's easy when you're actually talking about anything online to give that message in the same way as you would if you were in a room full of people. It's really easy to do that. And especially now that we're sometimes having hybrid services where we have
Mm-hmm.
people in front of us as well as people online, it's easy to do that. But I want to encourage you to think about the people who are not there and
Yeah.
actively address those people in your message. So, hey, if you're not here with us but you're watching online, something like that,
Where are you
address
watching
those
from?
people.
Yeah.
Where are you
Yeah.
watching from?
Happy Sabbath. Welcome on. Yeah. If you have
Absolutely.
prayer
You're
requests,
part
drop
of
it
our
into the
family.
comments. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Engage
definitely
them,
address
engage
those
them, engage
comments.
them. Yeah. I would say, for me personally, it's less important to be professional here in this particular space and more important to be engaging here in this space.
Yeah.
Sometimes when we came into the pandemic and we started doing the streaming, what we thought of as ministers was, wow, I need to be 3ABN, or I need to be like, the Loma Broadcast Network. This is who I need to be. I need to be Trinity Network. No, you don't need to be that. What you need to be is engaging. So, and there's a difference. People want to be reached. They want to be connected to. They don't need another professional looking backdrop. Now, you want to have a clean backdrop. You want to make sure your lights are good. You want to be here and there. But it's more important that, remember, people don't come onto social media to watch 3ABN. People come onto social media to engage with their friends, with content. So when they're coming onto here, they're going to hear you preach, but they also want to be able to engage with you, because that's what these platforms are for.
Yeah.
Now, if they want something professional, they're going to go to a professional channel to watch that, right?
Yeah.
So keep that in mind.
Yeah, absolutely. And two things that I'll say just to add on to that is you're absolutely right, that's what people are looking for. People, if you go the more professional route and say, okay, I need everything to look like the studio or television station or whatever it might be, people might feel a little bit less connected to you on social media.
Absolutely.
Because on social media, they're looking for something that's a little bit more casual, that's saying, hey, I'm here and I want to talk to you where you are. And this is my experience. This is the message that I have, those types of things, because it feels a little bit disconnected. Sometimes the more, I guess, professional it is, but sometimes
the
when it's a little bit
of what we think of when we say professional, right? Because what you're going to do, what we do is on a lower level, obviously, but it's professional. The light, we're taking care of all the pieces that makes this a professional kind of a shoot. But you don't want it to feel like a big production network, because people aren't used to engaging with big production networks. They come onto these spaces to engage with their content. They want to drop a like, a funny. They want to drop an emoji. They want to maybe say something, and so that's what you're going for. You need to connect that way. Otherwise, you're going to seem a little unauthentic to them.
Yeah,
Plus,
authentic.
Because we're not like you're not a big production. It's also slightly cheesy, if we're honest.
Yeah. Yeah, and the thing is, because this has been going on, these social media productions have been happening for the last year a lot more than before. And even before that, people can definitely spot authenticity, and people can spot genuine conversations and genuine connection more than ever before. So that's definitely something to keep in mind, that it's okay. It's okay to not be that.
Yeah.
The second thing I want to mention, just kind of from a technical standpoint, I guess, is that when Iki said this is kind of what these social media platforms are looking for, that's definitely true. So for example, when it comes to some of that impersonal content, I guess you can say, Facebook especially has really kind of leaned a lot more toward personal connections, relationships, because as Facebook says, that's what we're here for. We're here to help you build relationships. So when they see more promotional content, hey, we want you to connect with us, and we want you to just see us and like us because we're us instead of what we can offer to you. They don't like to promote that in their algorithm, because they want it to be more of a friends and family feel, and they want it to be more about building relationship and connection. So that's really what we're all about anyway. But that's really what some of these social media platforms are all about promoting. So if they see that we're about promoting us, they're not going to want to promote us. So that's another thing to keep in mind as well. Why it's okay to be genuine, and it's okay to be not perfect in that way.
Yeah, so true. So in our last couple of minutes here, Lauren, do you want to just take on some tips and tricks and things we've learned over our time?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So yeah, what we want to do in our last couple minutes is just take all of this that we've said to you, and take some of those things that might sometimes fall through the cracks in a checklist and a to-do list, and just tell you some of the things that we've learned in the years and months that we've been doing this. So Iki, do you want to share a couple? And I've got a couple as well.
Yes. My first one is make a list. Make a list, make a list, make a list. Because now some of you guys are phenomenal brains who remember everything. I'm not that person. And when it comes down to crunch time, I guarantee there's always one thing I'll forget to do. In fact, Lauren was talking about sound just before we started, and I was like, I'm glad she said that. And I looked down to make sure that my sound device, where the source of my voice is coming into, is in the right place, because there's going to be options. Same in Zoom. When you turn on Zoom, it's going to go directly to your default, which is your microphone on your computer settings. So you got to make sure, did I change that last time we were on here? Is it right? Making a list helps you remember all the little details that you need to do. That's mine. Make a list.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm definitely a list person. And so for me, even just the fact that I will have a list next to me, that will just help me to not feel so stressed. Like, okay, I know that I'm not gonna, because relying on a like mental note or something, it's like, okay, hopefully I remember all of this by the day that,
Right.
or by the time that day comes. But it's like, okay, I've got this. We're good. So
Yep.
it definitely helps to relieve some of that stress. Yeah, what Icky was talking about was if you have an external microphone and you want to be able to use a specific audio source, this seems like a little tip, but make sure that you've selected your audio source, because sometimes, let's say for example with this H5 that I showed you guys earlier that I'm using, sometimes if this is plugged in, it's not selected. Like maybe my headphones right here or my regular computer audio will be selected as my audio source. So definitely make sure it's powered on, make sure it's plugged in, not just sitting in front of you. Because sometimes it's like, okay, I've got my mic, but make sure it's powered in, plugged on, and you go into the menu and select your audio source. That's an easy thing to pass by.
Yeah, it is. It is. Here's another one for me. When I stream, I'm not tonight, but because we're recording, but usually when I stream, I always make sure I'm hardwired into the internet and that I turn off my Wi-Fi. And the
Yes.
reason why is sometimes my computer, because I'm not techie geeky enough to always remember to do something about that, but sometimes my computer will prioritize a Wi-Fi signal, and then it drops out and it gets kind of funky when it tries to figure it out. Now you could go into system preferences, make sure that you go down into your network, move your Wi-Fi priority all the way down so that it doesn't go above it. But honest truth is, my computer does wild things. So I always just turn off the Wi-Fi to make sure that the computer is coming through the wired internet, because it's always going to be better.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great tip. I definitely second just turning it off, because why leave it to chance?
Yeah.
That's always something that I think about. Just turning off that Wi-Fi leaves one less thing you have to worry about. Here's another one that I have. One thing that I would say is to just do a double take at your background through your lens, because sometimes you might take a look at the room and be like, oh, I think that's out of camera, or out of the camera or out of the picture. I think this is okay. Yeah, it looks fine. But make sure through your lens, take a look. There might be kind of a clunky power strip sticking out, or there might be an unsightly pile of papers or something, things that you can easily just put out. But just kind of take a look at your lens or your background through your lens and make sure some of those little things are not showing. And it doesn't have to, again, be a professional backdrop or anything, but just look at it through the lens and make sure that it looks nice and tidy, because some of those things that might be in the room that we see on a day-to-day basis, we might not realize how it looks through the lens.
Very good. So my last one is talk to your audience. Talk to your audience and make sure that they know who you are and what you're going through. So if your stuff is going crazy and somebody's typing, "Hey, we can't hear you," don't ignore it, because otherwise they're going to
Yeah.
keep typing that in. And don't sweat it, because that's the way things work today. All you need to do is say, "Hey, thanks for letting me know who you are," and as we're going about it, just let us know if let me know if it's working. Okay, give me a thumbs up or thumbs down. Don't be afraid to engage the audience out there if you're having a tech issue, because they know you're having a tech issue. And so if you're trying to act like everything's fine while you're trying to figure it out, people are like, "Oh,
We're
he's
going to
freaking
log
out. They
off.
feel bad." Yeah, 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 yeah. So engage.
Yeah, absolutely. And the last one I'll say, to piggyback a little bit off of what Icky said, is if you have the ability in that moment, sometimes you do, sometimes you don't, but if you have the ability, as you're streaming, keep maybe a separate copy of your stream going, like on your phone or something, like watch the stream on the side if you can. So sometimes we'll be streaming. I'm in a production program. I don't see the way that people are seeing the stream. So sometimes I like to keep it running on my phone or something. Or
Yeah.
if other people are watching it, like, hey, text me if something goes wrong, or if I don't see a comment, like, keep monitoring that. And just have that up if you can, just on the side. Try not to like be too distracted, but it's always a good thing to have that just on the side so that you can see how things are going and what people are noticing, what they're saying, and then you can interact with them, um, respond to their comments even as you're talking, and like Icky said, any tech stuff as well.
Thanks, Lauren, for hanging out with us and leading us this last couple weeks on how to prepare for your production. If you out there happen to have any questions, comments, or ideas, drop them into the comments so that others can see it and engage. This is what this channel is all about. We just want to make sure that we're helping and doing our part in making you better pastors and better communicators. For the next couple weeks, we're going to have different presenters coming on, and the next time I come on will be at the beginning of the month of, I guess that's July.
Yeah.
And in July, I'm going to show you through Ecamm how to do PowerPoint or Keynote
Awesome.
in a very simple way. You're going to have to get hardware pieces and connect it, but once you do, it'll be easier. Your side notes won't be there. You've seen those people presenting, and you just feel bad that why are your side notes on there? You know, like you want to get it right. Maybe you struggle with that as well. I know how that goes. So we want to make sure that we really help you get a handle on that. Lauren, thank you so much for helping us out with our Tech Tuesday today.
It's awesome. I hope you guys got some good tips from it.
Okay, my friends, we'll see you guys next week.
See ya.